this really exciting program was motivated by the idea of getting ideas, concepts, preliminary proposals, and all forms of initial ideas together. There's a couple of approaches that we could have took. We could have taken like a request for proposals or request for qualifications, things of that nature, which are a little more finite and firm. But we wanted to take an approach of kind of more encompassing, having the ability to kind of negotiate and help applicants and submittals to negotiate some of the challenges and barriers that are out there, and maybe even collaborate with one another to become a stronger proposal as a group. So we wanted partnerships to be really part of this, and this process gives the city the ability to kind of bring those kind of things together. So build support structures for underestimated businesses. That's the focus. Also to address some of the issues that we were able to identify through some of the planning processes that we've gone through, and I'll talk about the strategic plan a bit, as well as the inclusive economic development plan work that has been done. The city intends to award roughly $4 million, and we kind of used $3 million that we kind of estimated that might be interest in physical space needs, and then also about $1 million in business, what we call business support needs. Now, these are not hard, fast numbers. We just assume that physical space usually means buildings, land acquisitions, things that are a little more costly. So we just identify that, but it really depends on what we get in. It may be that we don't get a lot of interest or recommendations that we feel comfortable moving forward at this time in that area, but there's some real outstanding programs like maybe a revolving loan program that is more in line with business support that might need more than $1 million to start with. So these are just numbers that we kind of use for planning purposes on our end, but we encourage folks to submit those statements of interest across whatever they think would be needed to get those ideas and concepts off the ground and be successful. I also want to take a moment to just remind everyone, we kind of put this out on March 15th. The deadline is May 1st, and we're looking at 4 o'clock to get those in. So if there's any interest, my office is available to answer questions, work through any challenges you may be having in preparing your proposal. And I'll also talk a little bit more about getting those ready. So just kind of talk a little bit about some of the big planning initiatives that went into this. We talk about this strategic planning process as the city council went in. There's major impact areas, housing, neighborhoods, mobility, safety and well-being. We're really going to be focusing in on the economy. And the other piece, which was also mentioned, there was considerable work done by Steak Planning, and they worked on the inclusive economic development plan, which was really driven by Johnson County. So dealing with the economy, and there's multiple aspects here, but what we're really zeroing in with this particular program is 3 major strategies. Is one, reinforcing Iowa City as a premier community to locate and grow business. I think that's like one of our primary goals in trying to provide a economy and a ecosystem that really aspires growth of business in our community. 2, to ensure appropriate infrastructure in the place for future business growth and development. And 3, cultivate a strong entrepreneurial and small business ecosystem with a focus on creating new pathways to success for businesses owned by previously systematically marginalized populations. So also looking at the planning process that went into the Inclusive Economic Development Plan. That process involved a number of community outreach endeavors as well as a survey that was done. And in that, one of the things that it identified was some of the barriers that many businesses, underestimated businesses, have to encounter. And we're not saying that these are the only barriers, but a strong proposal is going to take on as many as these barriers as possible. The more barriers identified in here that a proposal can take on, the stronger that proposal is. So issues like cost of rent, I think we know that's a challenge. Gaps in information. One of the common things brought forth is maybe getting a runaround, trying to find the resources that are out there, being told one thing and then finding out that that's not actually the truth, and those kind of things that make businesses or entrepreneurs frustrated before they can even get their business off the ground. Lack of access to financing, that's pretty straightforward. We know that there's been challenges in history with banking and in a number of underestimated businesses not having access. Missing support systems. Businesses need access to lawyers, access to accountants, access to management consultants, those things that help a business, once it gets established off the ground, prepare itself to be successful. Dealing with hostile environment, basically discrimination in the marketplace, lack of mentors, and also identified as lack in child care. So these are things that kind of come to us as, yeah, this makes sense, and we're not saying that these are the only things, but to the point that a business or a statement of interest can bring these issues and maybe even other issues that it has encountered and be able to articulate that in its proposal would be, a strong proposal. So just kind of talking about the two types of projects, touched on it a little bit with physical space and with business support systems. Some examples to physical space may be collaboration such as shared retail space or community kitchen. A youth entrepreneurial program or a community center where activities of starting your own business or supporting your own business can be cultivated. Might also be, like we talked about, building, land acquisition, construction, remodeling, refurbishing, even things such as furniture, desks, and things of that nature, those physical things that a business need to be successful. On the other side, we're also looking for business support programs, and this could be administration of small business grants or loans. Technical assistance can take a number of different formats, and we talked about some of those things like accounting services. Community navigating could be just working through finding out where resources that are already out there in the community, but for whatever reason we can't seem to get access to them, someone that can help you get to those. Maybe even advocating and potentially lobbying for particular business interests. Support networks and professional support systems. We kind of talked about, but on also mentoring programs. So these are just some of the ideas, and not limited to those. Just some of the things that might get folks thinking about what statements of interest could look like. And just, a couple of examples, and we kind of covered this in our earlier meetings, and we had a lot of businesses that were in attendance and wanted to kind of, do a lot of examples or at least in theory, what a good proposal might look like. So we kind of went through some examples. As an example of one that's not likely a good proposal is a single organization starts a daycare and wants to be a proposal. Now that is obviously needed. Daycare has been mentioned in a number of the planning process, but it's an individual business need. What we're looking for is things that will make us a systematic change in that environment, right? We think at some point in time, those individual business needs will certainly be coming forward, but we're looking at what's the framework that some idea is going to be able to cultivate and meet those needs. So from this standpoint, at this particular level of funding, not necessarily likely that that would be a strong proposal. However, if you take that same base idea and you take that single organization starts a daycare business focused on parents with home businesses that offer drop-off care with flexible hours for businesses, and then you start to see it becomes more of a support service for businesses, and it becomes something that helps deal with that ecosystem for businesses. So that's better. It even gets stronger if that same partnership can offer office space and meeting space where businesses can have his business meetings there, have childcare there at the same site, but then also maybe access some support services that might also help businesses like maybe accounting and something like that. So that becomes a very strong proposal. A food truck business that wants a new loan for a food truck. At this particular stage of funding, not necessarily a good proposal. But if two or more organizations plan to start a community kitchen and offer restaurant and food truck businesses classes, well, now you start to see that it's becoming more of a community-wide approach and providing a need out there. And then another example, an individual business wants to provide translation services for the Congolese entrepreneurs. Again, really strong, but it is dealing with one community and individual business. What would make that stronger is if individuals team up and other translators create a center that would provide translation assistance for multiple languages. So you can kind of see where we're going here. The more communities that you can bring abroad, more partnerships that you can form, increases the strength of a proposal. And taking that same approach and bringing all those together and adding on other support services for businesses makes that proposal even stronger. So I think you kind of get where we're going on there. There's just a couple examples that we give there. And by the way, I also am providing this presentation for those who are interested in having it by just sending me an email, and I'll make sure that they'll get them. I'm also forming an email tree full of businesses that are interested in this, so that as I get questions, I share those questions with everyone, so it helps everyone get a strong proposal together. So we'll be doing that. I'll also be sending out reminders as we move through this process, so that everybody knows when the deadline is coming and where everything stands, so that we can hopefully get a good turnout. Now, speaking on submissions, I wanted to take just a quick second to talk about what it looks like. And I think we even had some comments of folks that get intimidated anytime they hear about a grant, and they think that you need to have a grant writer to go after that. We're really looking at making this as pretty straightforward and simple to maneuver as possible. So all we're really looking for at this particular stage is a cover letter, a general description of the purpose, benefits and goals of your statements of interest. We're also looking for statements that build community. Obviously, this is ARPA dollars, American Rescue Plan dollars that came from COVID-19 response. So we're looking for things not necessarily to prepare us for the next pandemic, but the things that give the community ability to bounce back a little faster when reaching some type of crisis like that. So resiliency is important. Estimated budget, we're just looking for big pictures here. What you're looking for from from us as an award, but also what you plan on bringing to the table as well. And it doesn't necessarily have to be dollars. It could be, I have an old building and it needs help. Well, that building itself is a value of something, and you bringing that together, it leverages that. We're looking for even your time, your efforts, some accounting of what that is going to be. That sweat equity, that's important to know. So we're looking in a big picture, but we want you to also think about what are you bringing to the table, and it's an investment, it's an exchange. Business world, you constantly hear skin in the game. We're looking for skin in the game. Preliminary timelines, if there's any kind of time-sensitive aspects to your idea, we want to know about them. We want to get some idea of what your estimates on, if everything goes well, what time do you anticipate before the program that you're working through would be implemented. Track record is again something that we had a lot of questions about. Let us know what you've done to date. Doesn't necessarily mean that what you're presenting you have to know all the ins and outs for. We kind of expect that no one person or one group is going to have all the pieces. This is why we think partnerships are going to be critical in this program. So there may be times you don't know who they are, you don't know where they are, but the idea is we might wind up by getting proposals and then bringing people together by looking at those proposals and saying, hey, you may want to work with this group or that group to make it a stronger proposal altogether. We like to say better together, stronger together. So we're looking for those opportunities as well. But we need to know if you don't have a track record, give us the statement of your abilities so that we can match those things up for strong proposals. Also, statement of work to date. If you have some past successes, even some past failures that you've learned from, we'd like to know what those are. And any other supporting information that can strengthen and bolster your proposal. So again, the request for statement of interest, we've put that out, but we also have it online now that folks can get more details about what we're looking for with the submission. And real quickly, what our process is going to be as we get those submissions in, we'll be forming a review committee. City staff's going to be working with the mayor to review what we've received. We may be bringing folks in for interviews, mostly in the area of getting clarifications, but maybe even exploring partnerships or refinements within the proposal that we've received. And then the next step would be to recommend to City Council statements of interest that may be ready to move forward to the next level. And what the next level looks like, or the next steps, would be working with those successful selected partners to develop those statements of interest into formalized proposals. So the hard part of putting together a grant, we're going to work through that with applicants and work through any challenges their particular proposal has to help them prepare and get it ready for a formalized submission to City Council. And that could be at various timelines depending on the proposal. We suspect that if there's a proposal that, hey, I need to have a building here, well, we'll work with them to get architects or engineers to help develop a building. We'll work with real estate professionals to identify the appropriate location or acquisition of land, those kind of things. So it kind of goes, at its own pace. Who knows? We see a great loan program, and all we have to worry about is building debt reserves and things of that nature, and we don't have to worry about those things. Those might go a little faster than something that requires physical space. Encourage anyone interested to reach out to my office, and we're really excited to be able to work with folks to really bring this to fruition.